Not yet. It sounded like it.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Pinal County Board of Supervisors meeting for Wednesday, February 19th. We will first start out with before we call the meeting to order, invocation from our pastor. Is he or she here? Donna, are you? Not seeing anybody. We'll do a moment of silence, and then Supervisor Surdy will lead us in the pledge. So if those that want to participate, please stand. Thank you. Supervisor Surdy.
Would you please join me for the pledge? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'll call this meeting to order. First item we have on here is a report from Mr. Liu.
Good morning, Chairman. Recently, we've had a lot of inquiries and concerns around fire prevention, fire mitigation, fire preparedness. And so we're coordinating and working on developing a work session item for March 13th. We'll have some fire chiefs in here, some districts representative, some stakeholders that know this business well and have an opportunity to educate and ask questions and address concerns and have an ability to see where we can improve as a county and as communities.
Okay. All right. Item 2, presentation of certificates of service. Mr. Liu.
Thank you again, Chairman. We have 6 employees that we get to honor today. And I'll start with animal care and control employee who's been an animal protection officer. Has been with us for 20 years, J.J. Johnson.
Oh.
And I believe Alex Robinson may be here to speak.
Come on up. If you want to say a few words.
Good morning. I'm Supervisor Alex Robinson for Pinal County Animal Care and Control. I've worked for the county for a little bit over 10 years, and I've known Officer Johnson when I first started. He did leave us for a little while. He is a valued member of Pinal County, definitely works with the citizens and does the best for the community. He's a very good officer, I'll have to say that. So, Director Michael wanted to be here, but she couldn't, so unfortunate. But
Okay. All right. Thank you. Would you like to say a few words?
Hello.
Just pull it down. Pull it down.
Sorry. I never thought I'd make it past 1 year, so this is truly an accomplishment. And I owe that to the county for giving me such great opportunities and always providing me with the safe place to land. And thank you to my Supervisor Robinson and our directors, Director Michael and Deputy Director Rodriguez and my beautiful wife for my support. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Don't run off because there'll be a group photo here shortly. Okay. Who's next?
Next, we have Catherine Ortega, the County Attorney's Office. She's been here 20 years, administrative specialist, and County Attorney Brad Miller here to speak.
Great.
Thank you, members of the board. Catherine Ortega, we call her Kat. Her nickname is coming up here. She truly is an extremely special member of our county attorney family. So I just want to talk and give a few brief words about her. And she truly is a Pinal County success story. She started in the Pinal County Attorney's Office in 2005, working the very front desk. And immediately they saw her talent and her willingness to work hard. So she was immediately promoted to a full-time position. She started as part-time. In 2006, she was promoted again to an administrative assistant. In 2008, she was promoted again to admin clerk. And in 2014, she was promoted to admin specialist. And here's where the important part comes in. This year and this week, I have just promoted her to admin manager. She is an invaluable member of our family, invaluable member of our team, and I really do celebrate her on these beautiful and wonderful, hardworking 20 years for the county. So thank you very much, Kat. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your dedication to ensuring public safety here in Pinal County. Congratulations.
Would Kat like to say a few words or not? Okay.
She does not. She does not.
It's not required. Again, but don't run off.
I'm going to change the order up here just a little bit, Chairman, if I could, so we can have the group come up last and be up for the photos.
Okay.
So next we'll go with Jesse Gutierrez. He's been in juvenile detention for 25 years. And I believe Adrian may be here to speak.
Hi, everybody. So unfortunately, Jesse was not able to make it here today, so I'm here on his behalf. For any of you that know Jesse, he's about like 6'7". He's been with the department, obviously, for 25 years. But with that, sometimes youth or even staff coming in can see Jesse, and they may view him as intimidating. But Jesse is really, he's a gentle giant. He is the epitome of what a detention officer should be. He is patient, he is calm, he's kind with all of the youth and staff that he works with. He's an incredible role model for everybody, and he's also able to develop rapport with kids that may not have ever had those supportive relationships with adults, and we're incredibly lucky to have him be a part of our team and hope that he'll continue to stay for another maybe 5 to 10 years.
Great.
Next we have a couple that have come up as a group. First, Kurt Limbaum with IT, who's been with us for 20 years, who is a web application manager, and Keith Sexton, who's been with us 20 years and is a server application supervisor. And Jason Cantrell, the IT director, is stepping up.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, gentlemen. I'm Jason Cantrell, interim CIO. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity just to have a moment to acknowledge these dedicated employees. Unfortunately, I do have a third. Randy Hampton was not able to attend today's meeting, but I would like to thank him for his 25 years of service. Keith and Kurt, thank you very much for letting us share in your celebration today. If you look back over your 20 years of service with Pinal County, there has been vast changes in technology. Just for reference, this was about when Apple introduced the first generation of the iPhone. Your ability to adapt to these changes shows the dedication that you have to advance Pinal County's IT. Over the years, you have gone through so many hours of research and training, attended countless meetings, and held many conversations about the future of IT, all of which have given you the ability to make the best decisions on how IT should move forward within the county. This experience, combined with your knowledge and expertise, have truly shaped what Pinal County looks like today. Just to mention a few recent accomplishments, Kurt and his team have implemented seamless docs, which have greatly improved workflows throughout the county. Keith and his team have recently completed the Acela migration, which has vastly improved the county's permitting process in development services. Gentlemen, you should be very proud of what you have accomplished, and I thank you.
Is that it? Okay. Yeah, let's meet down there and get a group photo of these accomplished employees.
I did hear that.
You did hear.
All together? Yep.
Just go on the right
Be fine.
side of there. There you go.
Okay, yeah, that's what I need to do.
Front row, just you four. Everybody go over one step. Actually, okay. There you go. There you go. Yeah, come right in front just a little bit. There you go. There you go. There. And beautiful. Look, everybody even shaved today. 3, 2, and again, 3, 2, 1. Love it. One more just to make sure you're all not blinking. 3, 2. Thank you.
Thanks, good to see you. I just want to say I think it's great that we have this little celebration once a month at least, and the accomplishments of our staff and the dedication to stay here for that many years is very, very good sign. Brings us to item number 3, which is supervisors for the information only, but we'll start down here with Supervisor Surtee and go to my right.
Yes, this late winter is always a big time in District 5. We just had the Lost Dutchman Marathon, of which the county helps a lot because it starts out in the county and it ends up in the city, and it's a qualifier for the Boston Marathon, and it means so much to showcase our area out here. And also coming up this weekend is the Lost Dutchman Days, which is known throughout the whole state. And it just so happens that the county will have a booth at the festival, out on the Midway, and we'll have a lot of different departments represented. And you can even apply for work out there. So, looking forward to that. That starts Friday through Sunday.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Goodman?
Yes, in my district, there's been a lot of things that have been taking place there. We have Compassion Queen Creek that's going to be taking place on Saturday, March 1st. It's been doing that in the community now for probably 15 years. That's primarily designed where dentists and various doctors and hairdressers and individuals, barbers, come and provide services, and they give out hygiene packets and things of that nature for many of the community members and that need assistance and help. And they've been doing that for some time, and that's going to be a big thing that'll happen again. Then we have been receiving a lot of requests of individuals that are wanting to be a part of the zoning process that we're going to be going through. So I'm not going to be short of volunteers or anybody to help give input, so that's for sure. And then as far as roads and constructions, I mean, we are just left and right doing roads and construction. I had somebody come up here and talk earlier about the time that it takes them from point A to point B. But I had somebody else tell me that if they would have been around 10 years ago, 6 years ago, from point A to point B was 3 or 4 times longer than what it is today. And so we've got a lot of roads that are almost accomplished and completed, and just around the corner will be new ones that we'll be building. So that's really that's a lot of the stuff that's going on in District 2. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Supervisor, I mean, yeah, this one. The other Jeff.
The other Jeff, okay. All right, let's see. In my district, we have had, this last week, we attended a meeting on SKIP. This is San Carlos Irrigation Project over here at Florence Gardens. About 150 to 200 people. It's hard to tell how many people were there, but very well attended. I'd give a shout out to Irini Pejak, who arranged this meeting. She is an amazing organizer and community activist down here by Cactus Forest. So they had a working group. SKIP, for those of you that aren't familiar, well, how many of you, just raise your hands, how many of you have SKIP power? Okay, Joe. One? Okay, wow, anyway, all right. So, okay, one of you out there is going to, so anyway, but they cover from down by Catalina in Pima County up through the Copper Corridor, all the way to Winkleman, back around some into Casa Grande. And they were started in 1924 to power the pumps in the fields out here in the county, and never anticipated there'd be 100,000 homes they'd have to power up. So they're having difficulty in keeping up with the power and maintaining their system. So many years ago, they were called on to divest and give it up to other companies, to the local power companies. That failed in 91 and 92. So now we've got a working group back together that's looking into the prospect of taking over SKIP. And we've got Trico, ED 2, 3, and 4, the Grick Utility Authority, Hohokam Power, Graham County Electrical Co-op, San Carlos Apache Telecommunications Utility. And they've been meeting for about a year, and they've finally come to, they've all got together, and they're working with SKIP as well, and through the BIA, which is the Bureau of Indian Affairs. So to change anything with them is a congressional act. But they've all got together, they've got a good sense of cooperation, they've signed NDAs, and now they can all look into each other's business and see what's going on. So they're doing a comprehensive study, looking at the inventory of poles, transformers, and even how many customers are served, because no one's actually even sure how many customers there are, interestingly. And they're working toward legislative action and funding, because they need quite a few millions, tens and tens of millions of dollars to repair the system. And then at that point, these other companies can take over. So it'll still be a few years, but they're working on that now, and it's very active. We've gotten congressional support from Senators Kelly and Sinema previously, and we've been working on that. Teresa Martinez just introduced House Continuing Memorial sent to Congress to keep poking the bear, to keep them moving forward on that. So we're trying to find funding to move forward. It's on Facebook. You can go to Public Power 4, the number 4, SKIP, S-C-I-P, if you want to find them on there and check it out. Let's see. Next week, I've got a Tri-Community Cleanup event, February 28th, March 1st at San Manuel. They'll be doing trash and green waste, tree limbs and bushes and stuff, tires, furniture, appliances, project trash, no commercial loads. It's at 31256 Erickson Avenue, just past the high school. Also this weekend, out here on Main Street, is the Florence Car Show from 10 to 4. It's pretty fun. There's usually about 200 cars there, a bajillion people, lots of food, good stuff to do. It's pretty entertaining. And that's all I got.
Okay, that's great. Rich.
Thank you, Chairman. District 1, so I have a community room that since I've been there since the first of the year, no one knew about it. I have a community room if people need a meeting place. It'll handle up to 26 people. It's free. You can call my office at 520-866-3960 to make an appointment from 9 to 4 in the afternoon, because I go home at 5, 6 o'clock, and I want to make sure you're out of that room. And or you can email us also. So, but you can call and make an appointment. That office is at 19955 North Wilson Avenue, Suite 100, the administration building. So I've also just want to let you know that here in Coolidge, I have closed that office. I'm working on something with the city of Coolidge that we'll be able to announce soon. But I am not afraid to come meet with anybody in District 1 in the Coolidge area. I'm more than happy to drive to see you, no matter where it is in District 1. So a couple other announcements. Again, we had the community room used immediately by the Chamber of Commerce in Maricopa. They used the room. And then another 347facts.com group used it. And if anybody knows what the 347facts.com group is, They are the men and women of Maricopa who send us hundreds of emails to the state legislators, ADOT, constantly, day in and day out. We average about 50 to 60 emails per day going to the state legislators to fix the 347. And speaking about the 347, yesterday I did attend the state legislative meeting for the Riggs overpass. So we were allotted this money and it was clawed back. But yesterday, the Senate Appropriations Committee, we got a victory. They are giving us that money back to build the overpass, Riggs going over Riggs Road, which is super important for the city of Maricopa. That is a big win for us. And not only did they do that, they moved it from 28 to 2026. So they moved it up 2 years, which is so important to us because the growth that the city of Maricopa is running is about 7,000 to 10,000 people per year, and we're over 75,000 people right now. So we are the largest city in Pinal County until Santan incorporates, we hope. But I am very honored and very proud to see that we got 8 out of 9 people to approve that yesterday. And then I have, last night I attended the city council meeting in the city of Maricopa. I attend the Coolidge one. I'll be attending Queen Creek also soon, their next meeting. Also, the Sky Village, it's a dinosaur park that we're going to be meeting with the gentleman on about building a dinosaur park in the city of Maricopa. Okay, I guess we need a need for a dinosaur park. So I'm excited about anything coming up new. Then on the 20th, which is tomorrow, Be Awesome. Be Awesome is a 501c that works with kids. And they do amazing work with about 20, 30 kids. They're constantly rotating in and out as they get older. It's an awesome, awesome thing for our children and our youths inside inside the city of Maricopa. And then finally, this Saturday, we used to call it the Salsa Festival. We've changed it a few years ago, as I was a city council member prior, to Copa Cultural Night. It is on the 22nd, and it's exactly what it sounds like. There is food from all different types of ethnic groups, music from all types of ethnic groups, and it's from 5 to 9 at Copper Sky in the city of Maricopa, Copper Sky Regional Park. It is a blast. We have somewhere between 8,000 to 10,000 people show up for this. It's all free except the food and the booze, but it is an awesome event. Then I'll be announcing probably the next meeting that Maricopa will be bringing back the Wild West Festival. We kicked it off last year for the first time. We had thousands and thousands of people. It's a 3-day event. There's Ferris wheels. There's all sorts of music, whether it's country, rap, hip-hop, jazz, rock and roll. It's going to have it all this year. So anyway, I'll announce the dates when they finalize that. So thank you very much, Chairman. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. I'm trying to find a date here, but here it is. Now that's a month away. But we're kind of in a lull in Casa Grande area in District 3, but things will be kicking up in March. I think the big thing that a lot of people will like to attend is actually March 29th. It's the Taco Fest that the Chamber of Commerce puts on. Draws a lot of people and should be a lot of fun. And I do want to thank Supervisor Jeff McClure for working on that skip project. I probably receive 2 to 3 phone calls a month on, customers concerned about that or wondering about that or what have you. And we won't be able to get that resolved fast enough, in my opinion, but thank you for taking the time to work on that. Outside of that, I don't have anything else. Okay, we'll move on to item number 4. This is an update on federal legislation and local state stuff. Now, I'm going to go through a bunch of bills here. You're next, Dana. No, I'm on 4. So I'm going to go through the CSA process that we have is called the Legislative Policy Committee. So understand when I say it was opposed is opposed by a group of supervisors from all 15 counties. You or even me, from time to time, may have a different opinion of it, but these are all as a collective committee on how I'll just say the unintended consequences from some of this legislation. So we have three categories: we support, we oppose, or we're neutral. And neutral typically is because we're looking for some additional language. So I'm just going to read the numbers and the short title, but it is attached to our agenda, and I think Natasha has it up so you can reference. It'll have a summary of the staff report, and then it has a summary of the discussion that the Legislative Policy Board did last Friday. So I'll run through this as quick as I can. So the first bill up here is 1065, appropriation reduction to courts. We oppose it. And again, I think that's because there's some unintended consequences with that. SCR 1004, we support that. On House Bill 2704, we oppose. On House Bill 2763, state government and federal contracts, we support. On House Bill 2918, which is a tax rate reduction, we oppose. And I'll tell you, that's because there's certainly a lot, it's always the devil in the details. And I think they might be on the right track, but they need to really clean it up. House Bill 2926, we oppose. That is reimbursement to residential developers. I don't know where that's coming from, but anyway, you can imagine. House Bill 2927, we oppose. This is a public meeting records requirements and penalties. I go into a lot of detail about how much time and effort we spend on public records, and we don't need more. We don't need more bottlenecks in that system. House Bill 2928, accessory buildings. This has to do with accessory buildings and basically building codes. We oppose it, and I think the biggest reason we oppose it takes away local control. We think that should be down at the level of each city and town. Senate bill, this was simply up for discussion. We talked about Senate Bill 1352 and also Senate Bill 1148. They have to do with the first one, 1352 has to do with the zoning administration. Again, we think local control. Senate Bill 1148 has resurfaced in a striker, but that has to do with defined contributions and membership to our detention system. So I just went through that quickly. Again, if you want more detail, please go to the website, and you can see the kind of stuff that we look at every Friday for CSA.
Chairman?
Yes.
Could you clarify for the folks listening, when you say we oppose, this is the CSA.
CSA.
How do you arrive at that? And it's probably never unanimous, is it? Or how does that process come to arrive on taking a stand on these?
Well, it's just a simple majority. But you would be surprised that most of it, because when we talk through it, we understand the nuances on how it affects county governance. And so, and I will tell you, a lot of it, probably 60 to 70% of it, is legislation that is unfunded mandates. That they impose something on us, but they don't send the money with it. And so they just expect us to raise everybody's taxes to pay for it.
And the cities in incorporated areas are the same way, right? It gets pushed on them without any regard of how are you going to do this?
Yeah, and the League of Cities is a entity that is similar to CSA. They go through the same process as we do on analyzing how this legislation affects our citizens in our communities, in our counties and cities.
I just
So,
thought
again,
important when they say we oppose, it's
Yeah.
who is actually
it's
opposing it.
15 counties
Yeah.
opposing. And I would tell you, there's bits and pieces in all of this legislation that I might even say, I kind of agree with that. But in totality, when you add it all together, that's where, again, it gets difficult to impose some of this stuff on the individuals. So,
Thank you.
happy. Any other questions or explanation? All right. Thank you for indulging that. We'll move to Dana, you're up. I think it's 5.
Well, Mr. Miller.
Oh, I'm sorry, 4.
I was going to say, Chairman Miller, members of the board, Dana Lewis, you kind of knocked it out of the park, sir. Really, do we need to go over this? Just to give you some, again, update on a few items. The legislative process is difficult and sometimes cumbersome.
Dana, just real quick, explain, because you're with ACO.
Right.
And so it's a separate
is.
separate organization, but similar.
You are correct, sir. Dana Lewis, County Recorder, but I also sit on the ACO Arizona County's Officials Board of Directors and Executive Committee. And like CSA, the county officials utilize a lobbying firm. I know that sounds like a bad word, but it's not in these cases. And we come together as either recorders or treasurers or superintendents of schools. And as the bills start coming in, we're able to review them as subject matter experts and then provide feedback. And what we do with ACO is, of course, legislative policy committees are on Mondays, and then our board of directors are, I think, the third Friday of every month. But we get this information, and then we present it to you. Like what Mr. Sturdy was asking earlier, you come together for a support or oppose because of a majority of the Recorders Association or the LPC. Like to always keep us on point. We are on the 38th day of session today. As of February 14th, over 1,800 bills were introduced. Senate 733, House 944, and then the House and Senate concurrent resolutions 124. We do have until the 21st for deadlines to be heard in their chamber of origin. I do put an asterisk there because appropriations does receive an additional week. Anything not heard in these chambers is what we consider dead. However, they can be revived and cut back as what we call a striker or a strike everything amendment, which means that the original body of a previous bill is struck through and they'll put on language from another bill onto it. Liking to keep us on schedule. Again, last day to be heard to the 21st. The next one you'll be looking for is the Senate bills will be heard in the House, and House will be heard in Senate by March 28th. Why it's important to stay on track with this, because as the bills are agendized each week on Monday, we receive a different agenda of what we're going through with ACO. Okay, thanks. Elections. Again, we are continuing to see several bills under the elections front. Notables to identify: House Bills 2004, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all things that we really love. We don't want voter reg cards mailed out of state unless you're a UOCAVA voter. Suspected fraudulent registration, we're trying to work with the legislation to identify a term in our AVID and voter registration systems so that if you suspect something, we can put you in a special status while that investigation is going through. Election mailings, they need to show that they didn't come from a government agency. In point this last election cycle, voter registrations were being filled out or sent out by a third-party entity, and it looked like they were coming from the Office of the Recorder, and they had stuff about abortion and ICE and all of this stuff on, which would not be appropriate to be coming from the Office of the Recorder. So we want them to put a statement like "not from a government agency" on those forms when they're a third-party mailer. Payment prohibited. The last day of voter registration, we are inundated with so many voter registration forms. And a lot of times it's because these third-party entities are being paid to circulate these voter registrations or have voter registration. We believe if we prohibited, or the state prohibited payment for those things, we'd get less fraudulent forms, and then they would be submitted back to us on time. We've been working with Representative Gillette in regards to the notary public requirements in protecting our lands and properties, and we're seeing some transactional information on the floor on that one. And then, of course, there will be an SCR for 1027, which means no foreign money in elections. Next. Water is Mr. Miller's baby, but SB 1558 and 1611 are ones that we've been watching. We do believe that they were heard yesterday. Next. Transportation. When we meet at all of the different events, many of the Board of Supervisors talk about the transportation. Mr. McClure spoke about it earlier, and I think it's really great for the members of the public to know the bills that we are constantly discussing. And so here are those. If you'd like to go do some research or have questions, please feel free to reach out. Assessor is moving with 1120 and 1121, and then the treasurer on 1070. Supporting notables. These are ones that we heard in LPC this week that ACO does support. The Juvenile Detention Center education program. I know our superintendent was working with our sheriffs in regards to this. Of course, crypto operators, we're trying to put some rails on that. We talked the last session about the indistinguishable AI of minors and photos, definitions in the drug offenses. We saw movement on both of those. Fair jury improvements. It's really just a cleanup in language in our statutes. We love those. We love cleanup bills. And then affidavit of arrest warrants was also one that we, in speaking with the attorneys, the judges, and everything, this made a lot of sense. One of the big ones that we really did a deep dive into was 1442. It appropriates $25 million to the general fund to access program for residential behavioral health facilities. And so we'd like to see that we are supporting that. Will say, in speaking with our sheriff and ACO, not a fan of House Bill 2432. It's an unfounded mandate. We don't like those. And he believes it should be under the Superior Court. So again, when we come into these on a Board of Supervisor, we've already reached out to all of the different department heads to see how these are going to be affecting their offices. That's the last part of it. I was reached out by a member of the public yesterday in regards to a bill that we had been working with. The recorders and election officials of the state of Arizona had been working with on 2703. There was a lot of conversations and dialogue back and forth on this one. And I believe that clarity of and understanding of the process is really important to our Pinal voters. So the wording in it sometimes could be misconstrued. But what it was asking for is that early ballots be returned by the Friday before the election. And it didn't mean that if you still had it in your hand by Friday that it was a dead ballot. It meant that then we wanted you to come to the recorder's office and drop off that ballot. We've long been talking about and trying to get bills moved forward in regards to the problem that we call the late early ballot problem. This was a bill that really did have some feet and was going to go places. The other thing is there was a concern that we were disenfranchising voters that are on the active early voting list. That language actually said more to the effect of we could utilize the 90-day notice. We already know if you're on active early voting, I'm going to send you a 90-day notice in the event it's before a primary election, so you have the ability to select if you're an independent, a partisan-style ballot, because we have open primaries in the state of Arizona. And then use that to return. So we've got good addresses. We're not wasting mail. We're, working through the NVRA process. But it was verbed in some of the press that we've seen very different than what was actually written. The other item that's really near and dear to us here is we need to use our schools as polling locations. But of course, we're always going to want to keep students and staff safe by ensuring that it was a holiday for the schools. Our elections are set in statute. We know when they're going to be every 2 years. It allows for us to not worry about it in service state because teachers drive cars and I need their parking spots for polling locations. So it was one of those things, again, cleanup of law and enabling us to utilize taxpayer dollars wisely to utilize schools as polling locations. The compromise that was requested by the governor's office that we found out after was to add 2 days to the beginning of early voting. The problem with that is, knowing our processes. And one of those processes is the voter registration deadline is 29 days before the election. So you would start early voting the same day that we're inundated with voter registration forms. It just seems like a really bad idea. When we're trying to ensure that we've got securities and parameters and ensuring we've got breaks in our systems, this would be one of the things that would upset that. And we were, adverse to that. And then we want to make sure that we're communicating with our stakeholders on these items. There has been press on it. I think it was better to clarify some of the language that you might see out there and hear it from the horse's mouth than, maybe out in socials. So that's my report to the board. Any questions?
Any questions for Dana at this time? Yeah, go ahead.
So I appeared and spoke last night in Gold Canyon, and all of the eastern part of my district just has one problem, one question, and that's State Route 24. Mm-hmm. How is it going to get built? With the PRTA kind of going on hiatus, there seems to be no system to get this road built. And I was asked by our Senator Wendy Rogers to say, well, what's the name of the, because I put it on the backs of the legislature. Well, it's up to the legislature and the governor to appropriate money to get this built now. And she said, well, what's the name of the bill? And I'll push it. And as of right now, I don't believe there is any because the whole PRTA thing kind of went away when they started their session. And every year there are literally hundreds and hundreds of bills, and they have to start really early, right? So to start this for next year, it has to start when, and is anybody, I know that one of either the House or the Senate did away with their transportation committee. They've put it into appropriations. Mm-hmm. So I don't expect an answer from you now, but if you could just, how would we go about getting our legislators to get the 24 appropriated?
Chairman Miller, members of the board, Mr. Sturdy, absolutely. I've taken that note. We'll come back to you in regards to responses on that and the transportation being wrapped into the appropriations. The legislature's number one job is to pass a budget. And how that happens is through bills and these items. So I believe that we'll be hearing more about that. And of course, we have some amazing legislators here in Pinal County. So let me do some reaching out, see what we can find out, and I'll get you an answer for the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Excuse me, Supervisor Sturdy?
Yes.
347.com has been the most amazing thing. I just want to give you a heads up. You just get a group of people to start emailing the legislators, your representatives, us, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But my bottom line is that the outreach started back when Maricopa started growing, that we had the overpass that cost $55 million, that we were on their doorstep day in and day out. Since then, we've also been on their doorstep for the last 16 years about the 347. And it's the will of the people that really has made it a huge difference. You get people to start emailing and sending out these emails to your, Teresa Martinez has been, Chris Lopez. You send these to everybody. We send them to all 100. And I'll tell you something, it's been amazing. And
I see that. I'm on the periphery of getting that.
Yes.
They are doing an amazing job. Unfortunately, Pinal County in my district, we don't have any representatives that live in my district in Pinal County. They live in Snowflake and Flagstaff, and we don't have the folks that are hometown like you have over there with Teresa Martinez and T.J. Shope, et cetera. So that's a problem that we don't have that. And once they redistricted, so
let's draw this back to questions to Dana.
But anyway, people heard that. Start emailing.
Okay.
On to the next.
Okay. Yep, now 5. Thank you, Dana.
Chairman Miller, members of the board, Dana Lois, Pinal County Recorder, and part of the requirement under the MOU is that I, on a monthly basis, tell you where we're at with the elections department, if there are any upcoming recorder information or activities. So I do have just a couple of hot topic items that I believe yourselves and the community need to be aware of. It's 2025. An odd year, and that means we are currently working with the Arizona Secretary of State's office to review changes that are intended to changes they intend to make to the elections procedure manual. What that looks like for myself and for staff is the second Tuesday of each month, the Secretary is going to email us the chapters that they plan to make amendments to. The third Tuesday by 1 p.m., we're required to submit any changes, comments, or directions, and then the fourth Tuesday of each month, we then meet as a group and go over them. The intent is at the end of this process, we will receive all of that feedback and then have red line edits. The potential for public comment period will be August 1st through August 30th. Again, public comment for the EPM will be August 1st through August 30th. It will be posted on our website and the Secretary of State's website. September 9th, the meeting with the counties to review the public comments will occur, and then we'll determine what are being incorporated. And then October 1st, they will submit the EPM to the Governor and Attorney General for approval. There is currently legislation on the floor that would direct that there be another oversight of this. It would not be an application for this legislative session or this EPM, but in the future. But no, we are watching that. Our first task chapters were 4, 5, and 6, which were voting equipment, accommodating voters with disabilities, and petition circulators. And in March, we will be talking about PPE, pre-election procedures, and conduct of elections. Chapter 4, the voting equipment, the Arizona Secretary of State identifies the need to establish consistent protocols in the event of forensic analysis. Arizona election officials deserve guidance that is congruent to federal standards implemented by the Election Assistance Commission. Pinal County found itself spearheading these dialogues due to the forward thinking of this Board of Supervisors after the 2024 primary election. Thank you, gentlemen. A new addition to this chapter is a reflection of the work that the Pinal County Elections Department and IT teams accomplished to show that elections in Pinal County are free, fair, accurate, and transparent. As we progress with the EPM tasks, stakeholders will be communicated at these MOU presentations to the board. Our voter education working group meets the last Friday of each month at the Votes facility located at 320 West Adamsville Road in Florence. February 28th at 3 p.m., we will be presenting a review of ballots that can't be tabulated due to damage, overvote, or stray marks, and how using duplication boards, voter intent on a ballot is documented. It will explore the evolution from manual duplication to the use of technological advancements such as express votes and electronic adjudication. We are hopeful for robust feedback on these processes as we believe that our voters must be part of this conversation. Also, in review of the growth of the county over the last 2 years by the Elections Department, we have been in discussion with the potential for re-precincting or splitting of several of our densely populated areas. We will be presenting our findings to the Board of Supervisors during the work session scheduled for March 13th. We've been working with the cities and towns to assist them in the understanding of election processes, and one of our own, Garrett Glover, did represent Pinal County in Apache Junction last night at their city meeting. Upcoming voter outreach events, February 21 through 23rd is the Lost Dutchman Days, February 28th through March 2nd, Coolidge Cotton Days, March 14th through 16th, we have the Pinal County Fair and Gila River Indian Community Fair. Again, people from voter registration and voter outreach will be there in the event that somebody needs assistance filling out a voter registration form. Upcoming election dates, of course, if we receive signatures from Santan Valley Incorporation by April 28th, we could have an August 5th election, and it did hit the floor, the Prop 123 language, so we would have a November 4th statewide school tax extension. We are continuing to use every resource possible to communicate the need for DPOC to some voters. There was session law on the floor that stalled in committee, and we'll be looking forward to move on that. Gentlemen, thank you again for your morning.
Ms. Lewis, my ears could not keep up with your entire chatter. So what day were you showing the ballots?
Oh. The Voter Education Working Group of Pinal County Elections Department is held the last Friday of every month at 3 p.m. at the Votes facility. Right. So February 28th, we will be doing this really awesome presentation where people will see what it means to have a tabulator, have a damaged ballot, not be able to be read by a tabulator, whether it's because it's torn, somebody spilled coffee on it, or maybe they just got excited and filled too much stuff in, or maybe they started and stopped, and there's the presence of intent. So we're going to walk through that with voters and how way back in the day we used to take that, then go to the vault, get a ballot, bring it out, duplicating a task that took many, many, many minutes and was very cumbersome. And then how we use the express votes, and now this thing that's out there called electronic adjudication.
Thank you for the lengthy answer. I was just looking for February 28th.
Well, I really, Sir, Chairman Miller, Vice Chair McClure, I think this is one of those voter education working groups that I really want to, hit home, that it's really important for members of our public to be aware of this, so much that we're going to record it. So that people can see it on the website, because people don't understand these processes and elections are complicated. And I would rather them be reassured to what we do in that big building than them think we're doing something, tomfoolery.
Thank you very much.
Sir.
Thank you, Dana. Brings us to item number 6, purchasing, excuse me, purchasing division report. Ms. Woods.
Morning, Chairman Miller, members of the board. Angie Woods, Director of the Office of Budget and Finance. And today's purchasing division report for February 19th is as follows. The board is requested to approve 1 contract award for RFP 251730 for court-ordered evaluations, 3 contract amendments to exercise optional extension periods for RFP 232928 for federal lobbyist services, RFP 242729 for landscaping services, and RFP 243628 for courier services. The report also contains 4 purchase orders between the amounts of $100,000 and $250,000 that we have utilized cooperative contract agreements that we're making you aware of. And lastly, we are seeking approval of 2 purchases of cooperative contract over the amount of $250,000. That's it.
Okay. Any questions? Hearing none. Board's pleasure.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the purchasing division report as presented.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brings us to item 7 on the agenda, which is consent items. All items indicated by an asterisk will be handled by a single vote as part of the consent agenda, unless a board member, county manager, or a member from the public objects at the time the agenda item is called. I do have item Q being removed. Any board member have any other items they want removed? County manager? Anybody from the public?
Chairman, items I, J, and AB.
Okay, I, J, AB. Apple boy. Okay. Everybody good with that? Can I get a motion to for the consent items?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve consent items A through AQ minus Q, I, J, and AB.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
I I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you. Let's go ahead and start with Celeste Q. I think hers is. And then who had item I?
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. I am requesting that you withdraw item Q. The town of Queen Creek asked that we remove it so that we can look at several roadways where we share jurisdiction holistically, and this is just one of those roadways that we are planning a transfer for. So, requesting to withdraw item Q.
Okay. So, can I get a motion to withdraw item Q?
Mr. Chair, I move that we withdraw item Q as requested.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, ayes have it. Who can speak to item I?
I knew.
Mr. Liu, do we have somebody here? Oh, good. There we go. Your name? At the speaker.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Welcome. Josh DeZeo, Deputy Director of Air Quality.
Okay. Do you have a specific question, Mr. Ravelis, on I? Maybe I should have had you come up first, and I apologize for the sequence here. What is the question?
Roberto Ravelis, resident of Gold Canyon. Mr. Chairman, the question is similar on the three items I've asked about.
Okay.
But on item one specifically, it results from President Trump's recent freezing on federal funding. And the question is, what impact on our environmental air quality be affected? Is there, in fact, a freeze on the funds being requested under item I?
Okay, we'll try to answer that as best we can.
Yeah. So the biggest environmental impact currently, there is a special monitoring we were setting up in the Randolph area. That is tied up in this. The rest of it is just upgrades, mostly for safety that were identified during an audit, safety for our staff. That's the bulk of those upgrades. The environmental impact is mostly that Randolph issue and having new equipment for what we do. As to if it's tied up or frozen, that seems to change daily at this point, or every other day. So the process is the state of Arizona requests the money from the federal government. Once they get it, we request the money from them. So the last we heard from the state was that it is frozen, but that's changed, I think, 3 times in the last 2 weeks. So as it goes through court, it unfreezes, then it freezes.
Okay, so we can't answer that direct, I would say, at this point in time. But help me out here. By approving this, should they be released, then we can move forward. If they're not released, no harm, no foul, we'll come up with Plan B later on. Am I okay with that explanation? Okay. Any other questions? Does that answer your question, Mr. Villas? Okay, thank you. Okay. So do I have a motion for item I?
Mr. Chair, I will, as read, item I would ask to approve.
Okay, I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. So moves us to J. Who wants to speak to this one?
Might have him come up and ask the question.
And Mr. Ravelis, is your question, is the money frozen?
Roberto Ravelis, resident of Gold Canyon. But again, to be in context, Mr. Chairman, again, this is relating to our rural schools in particular and development of our teachers. So it affects both the students in the rural communities, and it affects the professionalism and training of our teachers. And the same question, is the money frozen at this time?
Okay, again, we'll do our best to answer that question for you. Joe, can you address it at all?
Joe Ortiz, Development Services Managing Director. Chairman, yeah, we're probably in the same category as item I. Reality is we need that resolution, so if it does come free, we can acquire that.
We can access
get allocated.
Okay. Any questions? We good with that? Mr. Revelis, I hope that's a satisfactory answer. Thank you. Okay, do I have a motion on item J?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve item J as presented.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. And what was the last one?
AB.
AB.
Albert. Beautiful.
Alpha Bravo.
Let's get to AB. Who's speaking to that?
Celeste or Joe?
Celeste again?
You want to have Mr.
Yeah, Mr. Ruelas, your question?
Again, Mr. Chairman, to recognize the importance of these consent items. This one affects, Mr. Surdy, our area, Peralta Road. Improvement of that road in the amount of $22,350,000. So it's a significant impact on our Pinal County budget. Again, the same question, is it frozen? And if it's not, I recommend approval when the opportunity arises to clear up the confusion and chaos created by the President's executive orders.
Okay, thank you.
Leo?
Chairman Miller, Celeste Garza, Deputy Director of Public Works. We have not been notified of any frozen funding as far as Central Federal Lands is concerned. If anything, this agreement is increasing the amount of contribution that's coming from federal highways for the project because of the cost of construction. So we haven't been notified. We're still scheduled for spring 2027 construction.
Good. So that's good. I would say we move forward with it, and if it changes, we will be notified, and we'll notify the public of the change. So do I have a motion for AB?
I make a motion, we approve it as soon as possible.
Okay, that'll be right now. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you. Okay. We'll, where am I at here?
Item
Get
8.
to the
There we go.
8. Recess. Yeah, we got to recess this and move to public health. I'm going to recess the Pinal County Board of Supervisors meeting and open up the Pinal County Public Health Services District Board of Directors meeting. And that has only consent items. So all items indicated by an asterisk will be handled by one single vote as part of the consent agenda, unless a board member, county manager, or a member of the public objects at the time agenda item is called. Does anybody want anything from the public health agenda pulled? From the board, from management, from the audience? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent items A, B for the public health?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve consent items A through B on the Public Health Services District agenda.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. I will adjourn the public health meeting and reconvene the Board of Supervisors meeting. brings us to item number 9, call to the public. A call to the public is the period of time for the members of the public to address the Board of Supervisors, to provide public input related to subject matter within the Board of Supervisors' authority and jurisdiction. Those wishing to address the Board of Supervisors need not request permission in advance. Actions taken will result of public comment will be limited to a directing staff to study the matter and reschedule for further consideration and discussion. So I have a handful of cards here. I'll just take them as I see them, and we'll move forward. Barry McCain. Your name, generally where you live, and I'll allow 3 minutes today.
Morning, Chairman Miller, supervisors, staff, and friends. My name is Barry McCain from the city of Maricopa. First, I should apologize because I haven't been here because I had to speak for the bill 1019, which bans photo radar. But it's true that my grandmother's dad was King of France and Mom was Queen of England. And we must learn to speak with each other with respect, as we're a republic with 6 political parties. One is the No Labels Party, because I got on the ballot for the House of Representatives in 2018 with my cousin, Senator Body, Senator U.S. John S. McCain III, Layton State, Arizona State Legislature, without help from Democratic leadership, but got a lot of psychological manipulation and harassment. In 2000, the Democrats in Florida first successfully using these tactics in the presidential election. One of those tactics were used against Supervisor Goodman. Question is, how can we protect the vote and citizens' rights with unqualified candidates? I learned to respect life while watching tracer bullets and seeing the tree that I was just under blown up by a mortar shell. Today, I respect our first responders, lawyers, military, veterans, and professionals because each has had training in their area of expertise. Yet we must now have those difficult conversations so that we can become aware of what we have in common. The esteemed author James Baldwin said that you cannot make change without knowing what is. We have SB 1163 introduced by Senator Galvin to protect our veterans with PTSD, as I have, and SB 1243 introduced by Senator Kavanaugh to protect Caller Public. When Mayor Nancy Smith told me that I was an Adventist, which wasn't any of her business, I asked for her resignation. But Vice Mayor Henry Wade is the only one that knew that I was an Adventist. And Supervisor Rich Vitale repeatedly asked me to back off Councilman Wade. Each of these 3 used the same tactics that the Florida Democrats, in my humble opinion, violated repeatedly the 1st, 4th, 13th, and 14th Amendments because no one will represent voters and citizens with a hidden agenda. Knowledge is meant to be shared, not hidden. I have no trouble asking this board to hold each of these 3 accountable for their bad, deceitful behavior. Thank you.
Nancy,
Chairman Goodman?
Nancy Hart at the end.
Okay, Mr. Miller. Sorry, you had to say Miller.
Is it Hart? Your name and generally where you live?
My name is Nancy Hartle, and good morning to Chairman Miller and the board. I'm here today in good faith. Hope I can speak this time without interruption. I'm requesting clarification by the board regarding who gets to speak in call to the public and who does not. I realize that you consider it a privilege and not a right. Please allow me to explain. Knowing that Project 2025 is currently dismantling our democracy, it's obvious that federal issues are state issues, and state issues become county and local issues. We will all soon feel this in our pocketbooks, in housing and rental market, in disease management, in loss of jobs, in women's rights, and what was just discussed earlier with the different issues that were just discussed in this board. Citizens need a place to state concerns. While attending the Board of Supervisors meeting since November of 23, I was glad to witness that any issues of concern were allowed to be presented. That ended abruptly in October 2024. Here's a summary of the remarks of the Board of Supervisors over the past year. In December of 2023, the chair at that time said, quote, "I don't gavel people because I want to let people have their say," end quote. Later on, comments ranged from the insurrection, looming government shutdowns, abortion, comments by a Gold Canyon lawyer who referred to Democrats as leftist Marxists, and a previous chair electioneering and saying, quote, "I'm a Republican LDS, I'm a supporter of Donald Trump, my church supports the Republican platform," end quote. In October 30th, 24, based on all of those prior things that I'd heard, and as a retired military officer, I decided to make a statement regarding my concern about the possible future commander-in-chief who was a convicted felon and found liable for sexual assault. I spent several hours putting together a 3-minute presentation devoid of any profanity but filled with truth. About 5 minutes before I was able to speak, the chair stated he would not allow quote-unquote grandstanding and would only allow items within the authority of the Board of Supervisors. In view of this last-minute change and not having any time to consider what to do, I decided to give my presentation. I was repeatedly interrupted and forced to cease speaking. Fortunately, I did get to partially state my concerns. I wrote a letter of complaint to that chair regarding his rudeness, but never received a reply. On the 5th of February this year, the chair specifically said that he would not interrupt public comments because it was, quote, "illegal by statute," end quote. While government is currently being dismantled with a wrecking ball, I ask the Board of Supervisors who gets to decide what is grandstanding versus legitimate public concern. We should not be fearful to speak at this forum. I agree with the First Amendment right to free speech and the comment made to the previous chair, quote, "let people have their say," end quote. Thank you.
Thank you. Is it D? It looks like PODHEJSKE.
I often talk here. My name is Dia Podaisky.
Podaisky. Okay.
Yes, and I live
I'll work on that.
Okay. I live in unincorporated Pinal County, home of the Gila River, Action, and Tohono O'odham communities. Specifically, I live near the Superstition Wilderness, an area that is sacred to the Apache and Pima people. Today, I want to talk about proclamations. Within the last year, the Board of Supervisors has approved proclamations regarding Blue Star Mothers, human trafficking, court-appointed special advocates, and National Tourism Day. Just a few of these named. Black History Month did not warrant a proclamation. In an attempt to eradicate diversity, equity, and inclusion, around 8,000 U.S. government websites relating to diversity initiatives and gender ideologies have been removed. Federal recognition of Pride Month, Black History Month, Holocaust Remembrance Day, and other cultural observances have also been removed. George Orwell wrote in his novel 1981, "One who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. Attacks on democracy require the removal of other people's perspectives. The removal can take many forms. Disparaging DEI programs as being anti-meritocracy while embracing nepotism and cronyism is one. Assailing so-called woke curriculum is another. Our county attorney wrote on his campaign website, the implementation of woke policies in our schools and governments is leading our great nation towards socialism. These policies, which include harmful anti-American indoctrination and dubious sex education, are driven by the extreme leftist ideologies. I have faith in students, teachers, and parents to be able to believe in what their beliefs strongly enough to stand up to challenges. To withstand indoctrination, and to recognize propaganda, be it from the left or right. In 1926, Langston Hughes, a Harlem Renaissance poet, wrote, "I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow I'll be at the table when company comes. Nobody will dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America." Ira Hayes Day is celebrated on the weekend closest to February 23rd, the day in 1945 when Ira Hayes and other Marines raised the American flag on Mount Suribachi during World War II. The day honors Hayes, a member of the Gila River Indian community. Please consider it, including next year, a proclamation honoring that day. Thank you. Good timing, dear.
Good job. Is it Hilly Miller? Last name Miller? Help me out with Heidi?
Yes.
Heidi. Thank you, Heidi.
Heidi Miller, yes. I now live in Coolidge. I was in Mike Goodman's district before this. I am working with Mayor John Thompson on anti-bullying. I was glad to hear that Brad Miller is going to be working on anti-bullying for Pinal County. What we're doing is we're holding some contests in the schools. We're going to have a poster contest. Some people don't know that the National Child Abuse Hotline also is a resource for children that are being bullied. If they're at school or after school, they can actually call in and talk to a master's level social worker or counselor. We're also going to do a essay contest applying the quote, "It is the weak who are cruel. Gentleness and kindness can only be expected from the strong." And they are going to apply that to the issues of bullying. And we're going to have PSA announcement contest as well. And we are going to have a proclamation for Coolidge. And we're going to actually have the mayor give out the awards for the contest. And they're going to air the winning public service announcement that the students create. One of the things I want to say when it comes to bullying, I was at Mike Goodman's networking breakfast when Kent Volkmer spoke, and one of the things I said that Kent did not agree with was that I believe we should elect public officials that are role models. He said, well, he agreed with Charles Barkley that he wasn't a role model for anybody except for his son. I believe we're all role models, especially when you're elected to public office. I don't have any problems with the work that I've done with several of the district supervisors here. They've been supportive. They've been helpful. I was here and glad to see that democracy was at work over the code problems. But I think some of them could have taken the class in how to disagree without being disagreeable. So I'm looking forward to support from, because I'd like to put this to the other cities and the other areas of Pinal County, what we're doing in Coolidge. I've met with John Thompson. He's been very supportive. And just going forward, I'm going to be working with the NAACP president of Pinal County, Constance Jackson. We need to remember that we can work across the board and not to be demonizing people that don't agree with us on everything. And I think that's important in the state of the country that we have right now. So I want to thank you for the time.
Thank you. Gail Peters?
Good morning. My name is Gail Peters. I live in Santan Valley, and I am here to talk about, specifically about what Dana Lewis presented concerning election integrity. I think election integrity is one of the most important issues we need to be aware of and to emphasize right now. Just this morning, there was another article in the paper about how Arizona, or specifically Pinal County, is not keeping up with getting the votes in on the day of elections. So I thank Dana for her presentation and how that has been addressed. I agree that there is a difficulty in changing over administrations, but I really appreciate the return to common sense. Each day we're seeing new information about costs, about not managing our budgets, and I'm glad to see us looking into that. So I was disappointed that Governor Hobbs was unwilling to discuss the issue of HB 2703. In spite of the support of the majority of American voters and the elected county recorders. Even more disappointing was a lack of outreach from her and her office regarding these important election reforms. That reform would have sped up our reporting on election. We would no longer have to be embarrassed by waiting 2 weeks to report our results. It's a common sense thing, and I like that about this new administration. Let's bring back common sense. The action from the governor's office is not what our state expects from our leaders when there are clear procedural problems to address that issue. And it's clear that the time required to do the voter verification needs to be taken into consideration. So I want to thank you for your diligence and your support of election integrity, and I appreciate that you include voters in the discussions. Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer, is it Hilst? H-I-L-S-T or L? Here she comes. Help me out with your last name.
I also speak here pretty frequently. Hillsboss. Good morning, Chairman Miller, other members of the Board of Supervisors. My name is Jennifer Hillsboss. I live in Santan Valley, Arizona, so I am in Supervisor Goodman's district. I am also the chair of the County Democratic Party. The last time I was here, I spoke in regards to the zoning and code ordinance that brought out a remarkable number of people to be participatory in our local county government. And I stood up here and I asked some questions. I'm not the kind of person that will ask a question and then walk off and wait for someone else to answer it. So I started digging through the budget and I started looking to see if I could find out how much we spent on that firm out of the East Coast, though I do understand that they have a Phoenix office, to provide a code that was not nearly what the people of Pinal County wanted. What I found disturbing and what I take exception to this morning is the amount of federal money that is currently up in the air and the fact that we can walk around and say things like, no harm, no foul. There is significant harm and significant foul in not being able to know whether or not the money for the programs that we're funding will be coming back to us. That is not the way that you run a county. That is not the way that you run a business. You would not go out and spend money in your personal household budget if you didn't know that money was going to be paid back. You wouldn't make those approvals. I certainly wouldn't do that in my business. I would not go out and say, let's get started on spending money to support this project if I don't know I have a contract coming in for that money. Our budget is very closely tied to the state budget. Our state budget gets more money from the federal government than it does from the citizens of Arizona. Approximately 52% of our state money that is budgeted out in expenditures comes in from the federal government. For every dollar that Arizonans pay in taxes, we get $1.25 back. So we rely more, and please excuse my voice, I am getting over a cold this morning as I realize I'm up here breaking. We spend more federal money than we put into the federal government. We need to deal with that issue, and we need to be cognizant that when we are saying, let's go ahead and approve these things, that we are not spending money that is literally changing day by day as to whether or not we'll have that available. That is not fiscal responsibility. And with that, I yield back the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you. Jill Broussard.
Good morning, Supervisor Miller, Chairman Miller, and members of the board. Jill Broussard, Pinal County School Superintendent. And I just wanted to share something with you all. In the county, we had a legislative proclamation in honor of the students, teachers, and support staff of Arizona's Pinal County School Districts, shared up at the state legislature a couple weeks ago. And I wanted to share that with you today. Whereas Representative Walt Blackman and Dave Marshall are proud to honor the exceptional achievements, dedication, and resilience demonstrated by the students, educators, and support staff of Pinal County School Districts during the 23-24 academic year, exemplifying significant strides in promoting academic excellence, community engagement, and enhanced educational opportunities. And whereas Pinal County hosted its 60th annual Spelling Bee on February 10th, 2023 at the Combs Performing Arts Center, bringing together 66 students from the 11 public and 6 charter schools around participating. Kimora Holloway, a 7th grader from Maricopa Virtual Academy, earned the title of champion by correctly spelling the word congruent, embodying the spirit of hard work and intellectual growth. And whereas under the visionary leadership of Superintendent Jill Broussard, Pinal County has emphasized transformative educational programs, including innovative initiatives at the Hope School and Esperanza Correctional Facilities. These programs are rooted in inclusivity and rehabilitation, fostering positive student growth. Superintendent Broussard's collaboration with Justice Sandra Day O'Connor to promote civic engagement further underscores her commitment to holistic education and the development of civic-minded students. And whereas Pinal County Secure Care, particularly Hope School, represents a unique and deeply impactful educational mission, guided by its vision statement, Hope School embraces each student's journey. Its mission envisions students as resilient cactus wrens ready to take flight, each with a story written in their feathers. This mission reflects Hope School's commitment to fostering resilience, growth, and self-discovery, equipping students with the skills, resourcefulness, and determination to overcome challenges, protect their dreams, and soar to new heights. And whereas the educational community in Pinal County promoted numerous scholarship opportunities to support students pursuing higher education, the Cesar E. Chavez Memorial Committee of Casa Grande notably offered scholarships up to $1,000 for the 23-24 school year, encouraging academic excellence and providing a pathway to future success for high school seniors. And therefore, Representative Walt Blackman and Representative Dave Marshall, on behalf of the Arizona House of Representatives, extend sincere appreciation and commendations to the students, educators, and support staff of Pinal County for their extraordinary, almost done, contributions to education. These accomplishments stand as a testament to the dedication, collaborative efforts of Pinal County's educational community, which nurtures an environment of academic achievement, community engagement, and student success, recognizing their unwavering commitment to excellence and the transformative impact of education on all. May this proclamation serve as a tribute to their achievements and an encouragement for continued progress and unity. Dated this 23rd day of January 25. I read that as fast as I could.
No, that's great.
Thank you.
That's good to know that they're recognized. That's all the cards I have. Is there anybody from the audience that would still like to speak?
Roberto Ravelis, resident of Gold Canyon, and in honor of the Black History Month and in the spirit of America's original freedom fighters, our African American community. Quote, "You should have never started it," unquote. With these words, yesterday President Trump blamed Ukraine for defending itself against Russia's attacks. A most despicable attempt at blaming victims of an autocratic aggressor for defending themselves. Trump's treacherous alignment with Russia against Ukraine is the height of immoral depravity and a putrid rejection of America's role in defending self-governing democratic nations against autocratic forces of fascism. Domestically, we are witnessing Trump's intent to radically shift our nation from the founders' dreams of a self-governing constitutional republic to an autocratic government controlled by a ruling class of Russian-style oligarchs, a la Elon Musk. How else explain the flood of chaotic and confusing executive orders that have engulfed our nation these past few weeks, upending international trade, revoking birthright citizenship, immigration, foreign aid, demographic diversity, civil rights, hiring and firing of government workers, and important to us this morning, the freezing of congressionally appropriated and authorized funds. Confusion that is reflected in this morning's own agenda. Trump's mask is off. The unhinged actions of our nation's first convicted criminal sitting in the White House can no longer be written off as it's just Trump being Trump. No, it's an out-of-control, delusional demagogue creating a challenge to our Constitution. Reacting to a U.S. judge denying Elon Musk's access to Treasury Department's confidential central payment system, Trump said, no judge should frankly be allowed to make that kind of a decision. What a disgrace. We are in a developing crisis. If delusional Trump decides to disobey a court order, which is coming within the next few weeks, we will then be in an unprecedented constitutional crisis. Respect for the rule of law, defense of our Constitution against a sitting president is an unprecedented crisis for all Americans. I stand with our Constitution, and I say that truthfully and respectfully. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the audience who'd like to speak? Seeing and hearing none, that concludes the public comment period. But Rich, your name was mentioned in one of the public. Do you want to respond?
Yes, sir. Normally I wouldn't. Thank you, Chairman Miller. Normally I wouldn't, but over the past year, first of all, I'd like to say freedom of speech is so important. I am 100% for it. But what I will not stand for is lies, slander against my former colleagues, and I've put up with it, Mr. McCain, for over a year now. I beat you fair and square in an election. You could be a denier. That's perfectly fine. You're allowed to. But I am tired of it. You have slandered Mr. Wade over and over again, have lied over and over again. And Nancy Smith, the same thing. We allowed you to come sit in our office when I was vice mayor and listen to you for an hour, babble, hand me a speech that had nothing to do with what you were talking about, and walk out of there. Nancy continues to have those meetings with you. You can call me what you want, you can say what you want, but I will not allow you to lie. I have sent the cease and desist letter. I will do it again from my lawyers to make sure that you need to stop. I've taken you out to lunch. I've paid for that lunch. I've treated you with the utmost respect and asked you to stop slandering my former colleagues. I refuse to allow you to lie. You could talk about me. You could say what you want about me. But as of today, you do it one more time, and I will have a cease and desist letter against you and put a restraining order on you because you're wrong. You could say you don't like my politics. You could say what you want. But when you start lying, I'm done with you. And this is the first time I've done it in a year and a half. I have put up with you. I've been nice to you. I say hello to you. I treat you with the utmost respect that you do not deserve. And I'm tired of it. So you're on notice now, public record now. The letter went to you. You know you read it. I'm done. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate it.
I just want to speak to the last lady, Jennifer.
Did she mention your name? Yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you. I think Supervisor Goodman was referred to, maybe not by name, but I feel like he probably had.
I
should be allowed to
I appreciate that. And actually, the only one that I want to speak to is to Jennifer Hillsborough's comments. When she came up before during that call to the public that we had, she had several questions. And Leo, I know staff has been working on putting all the dynamics, certain questions that she asked. Can you tell us where you're at on that?
Okay. Discussion.
I know that.
Should we have that later?
Sure.
Maybe give direction to do that. I guess that's what I'm asking.
I guess is the question, have we been working on a response? Can you answer that, Leo?
Yes, Chairman, Supervisor Goodman. Yes, we have been, and I know we're close. I know that there's a draft of the information already prepared if it hasn't gone out already.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
That's it. That's all I needed to.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Brings us to item number 10 on the agenda. Discussion, approval, disapproval of recommendation of a Arizona Department of Liquor License and Control application. This was continued from February 5th. So before we go any further, Natasha, is there anything you want to add to that?
Chairman, Supervisors, the required notice of posting, which is the reason for us continuing this item, has been confirmed that it has indeed been posted for at least a 20-day requirement, and the recommended motion for the board is for approval.
Okay. So is there anybody that would, from the public, that saw the notice and would like to speak to this? It's not really a public hearing, but I want to offer anybody from the public an opportunity to speak on it if they so wish. Okay, seeing none. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 10 as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, thank you. Where are we at here? Item number 11. This does have a public hearing component, but we will have the presentation first. Discussion, approval, disapproval of resolution number 2025 PZPA 014-24. State land. Who wants to present?
Mr.
Chairman.
Mr. Chair, are we hearing 11 and 12 together?
Oh, yeah, and 11 and 12 together. I'm sorry.
Hi, Chairman. Good morning.
Harvey?
My name's Harvey Krause, Planning Manager. Chairman Miller, Vice Chair McClure, members of the board. As you indicated, I'll be discussing items 11 and 12 together. They go together. This morning, I'm pleased to present a major planning initiative that began about 8 months ago regarding about 3,200 acres of vacant land in the Santan Valley area. This was a joint planning effort. This was a joint planning effort between the Arizona State Land Department and Pinal County, which provides basically a blueprint for future development of this 3,200 acres, which is in basically the heart of the Santan Valley area. The two cases involve are a non-major comprehensive plan amendment to what is called the Santan Valley Area Plan, which is in 2018, the county adopted this plan, which is basically a little bit more focused general plan just on the Santan Valley area due to its unique characteristics. So the comprehensive plan changes the existing land uses to what is called a special district category, which is only provided for just the state land. The rezoning application is from general rule to large-scale master plan community, or LMPC is what I'll be referring to it as. The property, as I indicated, is 3,238 acres. It's located north of Bella Vista Road, south of Knife Draw Road, and east of Hunt Highway. The owner, all of the land is owned by the Arizona State Land Department, and Karen Dada is here this morning and has been involved in the planning process. In June of last year, 2024, the county entered into a contract with Wood Patel and various sub-consultants who assisted the county with development of this plan, including Swaback with the planning group and a traffic engineer, and Judy Scalise did a market study. This is a location map. The star there reflects the area where the property is located. The blue highlighted areas are all state land. This is more focused on the area that under consideration for the general plan amendment and the comp plan amendment. The area in orange, as you can tell, it's very centrally located. Here is a map showing the existing land use designations in the Santan Valley area plan on the left, the brown area, and then you'll see the special district area outlined in yellow. Once again, this is an area plan showing this is the boundaries of the Santan Valley area plan. The green reflects the area that we're under consideration for comp plan and zoning. This is a map that shows the zoning map. If you can see the red outlined border around it, that reflects the 600 feet of area that was used for the designation for notification to the property owners of the public hearings. A little bit more about the LMPC, a large master plan community. This was developed by the county to address large-scale master plans of 2,000 acres or greater. As the board's well aware, it'll take decades to develop thousands of acres, and over decades, 20, 30, 40 years perhaps, market land uses change, market conditions change, tastes and housing change, and to be able for a developer to be able to respond to changing conditions of land use and market, they need to have flexibility. So this is basically a floating district that allows the developer, in this case it'll be the state land office, they're not the developer, but they'll auction the property off to developers who can respond to conditions, market conditions, and adapt to changing conditions as from time to time. So that's the purpose in the LMPC. So 2,000 acres or greater, and it's a floating district, can be applied anywhere within Pinal County. There are 9 development areas. As you can imagine, a 3,200 acre site needs to be divided up into manageable development areas. So they represent areas that are physically bounded by primary roads or future roads, existing infrastructure, or land use transition. The open space requirement, there's 18% minimum open space requirement for residential, 10% for commercial or non-residential areas. Utilities and service providers, the two utility providers in the area are the town of Queen Creek and EPCOR, and they have submitted a letter to the county jointly agreeing to participate in a plan together on the utilities extending of water and sewer to the area in the most efficient way or efficient manner possible. They'll work together, and we've had meetings with both of these utility providers. The roadways, of course, we had a traffic report, and we have a conceptual plan for the arterial roads, public facilities for future development as well. So here is a map of the 9 development areas. They're divided up in really 3 general areas. Excuse me. The north section, the yellow in the north part, is 3 areas that are primarily designated for residential, and then the middle area, which is areas 7, 8, and 9, are the areas for mixed. That would be 4, 5, and 6: employment, commerce, and mixed-use development. And then the southernmost is another residential area. And that doesn't mean that you won't have mixed use and non-residential commercial businesses in the yellow portions. It just means these are the predominant land uses in those areas. So this is a table reflecting the proposed land use distribution. So each of the 9 development areas, they call them development districts, it provides for the acreage, the maximum dwelling units, as well as the minimum amount of non-residential. So there is a minimum amount of residential that will be required, and then a total. So the total for the maximum number of dwelling units within the whole area would be over 18,000. This is the conceptual transportation plan. So the green lines represent 6-lane arterial roadways. The red lines represent 4-lane arterial roadways. We had a public outreach. We had a neighborhood meeting at the Central Arizona campus on December 9th. We had approximately 40 residents in attendance. We have received, since after that meeting, we received 3 emails in opposition and 1 in favor. The Planning Commission voted 10-0 to approve the both the general plan amendment as well as the rezoning with 26 stipulations. I know it sounds like a lot, but we covered most of the issues to protect the county, because this is, as I indicated, is a long-term planning project. There are a lot of things that'll come up over the years. And the State Land Office was heavily involved in providing comments to staff on these 26 stipulations, and they find those acceptable. I'd also like to, let's see, Karen Dada from the State Land Office is here this morning, and she'd be happy to address any questions you have. She's been very helpful, and we appreciate her input, and her input has helped us develop a better plan than we would have had without those comments. So with that, any questions or comments regarding the plan?
Any questions for Mr. Kraus?
Chairman, I just have a, did you say 45 years is about when you'd start this development? I just want to make sure I heard that right.
Chairman,
just call
Supervisor,
me Rich.
Tongue-tied here. No, it's a long-term planning project. You know, we're talking over 3,200 acres. And as the board's probably well aware, the construction industry in Arizona tends to be very cyclical. So we have peaks and valleys. So it could go on for decades. Okay. And that's, possibly 20, 30, 40 years. That's, sorry. I
just want to make sure I heard it.
Mr. Chair, my understanding of I do like to see the roadways laid out ahead of time rather than just build and, oh, now we need a road. You know, what a concept, right? But this is good. I was under the impression it would be more commercial than residential. That's what I understood earlier on.
Mr.
I
Chairman,
mean, it's a civic core, you know, essentially a downtown core, similar to like Chandler or Gilbert, I guess, really.
Chairman Miller, Vice Chair McClure. Well, we're dealing not with a typical developer at this point. We're dealing with the State Land Office, and of course they have a fiduciary responsibility to maximize dollars for their beneficiaries. So they'll be auctioning the property, and then each of the private developers will be coming into development services, which we will negotiate those types of public services and possibly more commercial at that point in time. But at this point, we just wanted to give a general blueprint and provide some parameters for how it's going to develop. So that and a minimum amount of non-residential, but we the state kind of doesn't want us to overly promise residential. Non-residential, and we had a market study to give us some idea of how long that would take and how the maturity of the area. So we needed residential to support that commercial as well, if that answers your question, hopefully.
Possibly, more or less.
Yeah, I think, you know, as it's been explained to me as I've gone through the process, I've been a part of what's going on here. But I think when you look at go back to the road maps. If you could you go back to that?
Yes, sure.
And I think, you know, for any businesses, location is a big part of it.
Too fast.
And to your point, what you said earlier, it's good to see that we've got the roadways, I almost said raceways, but roadways, already put in play on this particular plan and what it's going. Looking at it, I mean, right now we have nothing that's in place, or even in part of it, the play part. But these major roads like Skyline, that's going to be an arterial road. That's what's going to connect on the west side of the railroad tracks to the east side of the railroad tracks, and so there have to be some connection there. There's a lot of homes being built on the east side, which I think this area, to your point, is going to create a lot of interest in commercial stuff to that. So I just speaking openly about this as I've looked at it. So I think that's. I don't have any more questions. Do you, Rich?
Yeah, I just had one more.
Sorry.
About the. You had 40 people show up, but you had 3 comments opposed and 1 for. What was the 40 people there, and what was their response to this?
Chairman Miller, Supervisor Vitrelli. Sorry, apologize for messing up your name. Those were the only written formal comments we received. We did have, in terms of the public comment, there were a lot of mostly questions about the project, when it's going to happen, who's involved. That was the primary focus of that meeting. We did have some informal comments based upon we already have too much congestion in Santan. We don't need more housing. We don't need more development. I think as a general rule, that was kind of the prevailing thought in the audience.
Okay. I just want to say on this map, I take and look at the very first word, conceptual. It's not going to. It might be next to your house right now. It doesn't mean it's going to be next to your house. But it gives a good idea how we would want to lay transportation systems out in the area. Did you have someone from State Land that wanted to address the board?
Karen, did you want to? She's shaking her head no.
Don't want to?
Unless you have any questions.
Were we that tough?
Supervisor Miller, if I might.
Yeah.
I appreciate the Land Department coming forward and working with us as far as giving an overall plan. That's been part of our overall issue. When you take a large swipe of land like this and you try to, And then in the past, it's been individuals that have owned those pieces, and then they've platted it, and then another one's platted it, and now you look at what we've got in Santan Valley. We're trying to catch up to the roads and everything else, as well as the infrastructure, even to the point now we have utility companies that are participating in this planning process, which we've never really had. Right. And so I think this is a lesson for all of the areas going forward, be it out on the south part of Maricopa or wherever it may be, is that going through this, and thank goodness for state land stepping into this with us, and I mean literally stepping into this with us and sticking in there and being willing to go through this kind of a comprehensive plan too. I think it ultimately will it'll create more safety for the individuals. This land is going to be used. It's for the reasons behind it. And so they've been part of the planning process to help us kind of keep a better control, for lack of a better word, on being able to control the traffic issues and things of that nature. So even the retail, which we're losing a lot of. So anyway, that's my 2 cents for now.
Okay.
I'm probably going to come back.
Well, any more presentation? Okay. Then I'll open up the public hearing on item number 11. Anybody from the public like to speak to item 11?
And 12.
And 12. Yeah, and 12. I keep forgetting 12. 11 and 12. Anybody like to speak? Please come forth. Name and generally where you live.
Good morning. My name is Carol Tonzi, and I live at 1697 East Copper Hollow, Queen Creek, Arizona, which is north of the land that we're speaking of. We abut up to that property. And I would just like to note my objection to approval of this ordinance for the following reasons. Not only is there a serious concern regarding the volume of traffic that this proposed project, will bring to our communities and the water and infrastructure needed to develop this parcel of land, but this proposed project will directly affect the property values of the surrounding communities, including my home, which is directly north of the proposed project. There's also burrowing owls right behind our properties. And the biggest and most serious, and I brought this up at the Planning Commission, is that if this project is allowed to go forward, every citizen in the communities surrounding this land will be exposed to valley fever. At the public hearing held before the Planning Commission, I requested that an environmental study be done on this land with regard to the valley fever. One Planning Commission member even questioned the others whether or not the soil had ever been tested. Although the other members they skirted around the question, the bottom line to the question was no, or they didn't know the answer. This is a serious situation that needs to be addressed. Unlike other ongoing developments in Arizona that are not surrounded by communities, this land development would directly affect our health and safety. There's many residents in Encanterra, where I live, that have moved into this community within the last 10 years and were very healthy until the land around us has been disturbed for development. They have contracted valley fever and have almost died. And I would just respectfully request that this issue not be voted on until there are studies done and to assure our community's safety. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak to items 11 and 12 in the public hearing portion of this item? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Board's pleasure on item 11.
Well, first of all, the individual that just came up, you know, I used to farm this area years ago, specifically this particular piece right across from Poston High School. I farmed that for 3 or 4 years, and that's where I started to notice a lot of the things that we have. I know here, story time, right? That's where I noticed, driving my tractor, the inadequacies that we had in our...
Will we get a motion out of this?
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
But I'm a survivor of valley fever. I got valley fever when I was probably about 9 or 10 years old. And valley fever, I'm not sure, is from I'm sure there'll be environmental studies or whatever the case may be, but, we're in Arizona. It's hot, dusty, no matter where we live. We're going to be facing these type of amenities and things of that nature. And so with that, I appreciate your concerns. And I think as it goes forward, different things will be done. Environmental studies will be done as it goes forward. But with that, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve item number 11 as presented with no stipulations.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. More discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, I'd like to explain my vote, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So, we have this issue, obviously, in Hidden Valley Thunderbird Farms that the growth is overcoming. It's a serious issue. I know it's way down the line, but I do happen to agree with the environmentals. All that is going to have to be done, ma'am. I just want to let you know that is going to be done way before anything else goes. So I'm voting aye, but I want you to understand that those types of things have to be done because I am concerned about your health and your family's health and your neighboring's health. So I am voting aye for that reason, but I do want you to know I agree with you, and I will make sure, and we will make sure in the future as a board that everything that needs to be done in advance will be done in advance and transparent to the public.
Okay. I think I said all opposed say nay. I don't think, did I get that far? I did, okay. Okay, so unanimous. All right. Item number 12.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve item number 12 with 26 stipulations.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you. Oh, okay, let me turn the page here. 13. Lucky 13. Discussion, approval, disapproval of acceptance of the resignation of Justice Court Precinct 2, J.P. John Ellsworth, effective February 28th. So, Mr. Ellsworth has tendered his resignation as J.P. The Board of Supervisors will be required to appoint a replacement at some point. Common practice from the board in the past, as we set a time limit on applications to be submitted, and then generally 2 supervisors will sit down and review those applications and bring a recommendation back to the Board of Supervisors. And in this case, I believe it'll be March 5th will be the next action. So I'm looking for a motion that would keep us in a real short window for application to be received. And then this is in my district, and I believe it is also in Rich's district as well. And I would suggest that maybe we be the 2 to review the applications. So from that, any questions or comments at this time? Can I get a motion?
So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to approve the acceptance of the resignation of Casa Grande Justice Court Precinct 2, the Honorable J.P. John Ellsworth, effective February 28, 2025, and to fill the vacancy according to ARS 16-230, as well as opening and advertising the position as follows. Opening the position for applicants between February 20 and through Thursday, February 27th, 2025. Interviews will be conducted by a committee consisting of Supervisor Miller, Supervisor Vitiello, and said committee to deliver a recommendation to the board at the March 5th board meeting.
I'll second that.
I I have a motion and a second.
Can you repeat it, though?
I bet I can.
No. I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you, everyone. Brings us to item number 14 on the agenda, which is an exec session. So can I get a motion to
So moved.
move into exec session? I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you, everyone. We will return, and you can watch us adjourn at some point.
You know that.
Okay.
Meeting.
Do I have a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Oh. This meeting is adjourned. Let's see if I shut this down.
I got a 1:30 here. Here? They've got